Bitcoin crosses this, and now it is like the new gold. And I think we're already seeing an inkling of that with the executive order to create the SBR. But in terms of price, I would say that threshold's probably somewhere at, I don't know, maybe 500,000 per Bitcoin, maybe 400,000 Bitcoin. Somewhere there is where we start becoming the second largest asset class on the planet. And people can kind of directly compare gold at the top with, 20 trillion, and Bitcoin with, half of that. And I think at that point you start to demonetize gold because, you have this new thing that is surpassing that 1,000-year monetary technology in 16, 17, 18 years. So that's when you start to shift and think, okay, I need exposure to this. I'm willing to dump my gold and buy some of this.
The global influence of Bitcoin is rapidly growing. We're approaching a day when Bitcoin turns into a real global reserve asset, claims Samson Mow, CEO of Jan3. He believes that the financial landscape would completely change once Bitcoin reaches the $1 million level. Since its inception as a specialized experiment, Bitcoin has now made its way into the holdings of significant organizations. Furthermore, Samson thinks that this is only the beginning. Governments and central banks will be forced to embrace it as a strategic requirement as its value increases to levels comparable to those of the traditional monetary reserves. By then, Bitcoin will be fully established in the world economy. For more information about cryptocurrencies and the digital asset world, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications if you like this kind of content. Additionally, please feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts. Thank you for watching and enjoy the video.
That mindset that things change as Bitcoin goes up in big chunks, like 200, it's a very different world. From 200, 500, you just have to, double plus a little bit, right? And then from 500 to a million, it's just a double. So these things become more likely the higher we go, because it's not like we're 10xing, we're just doubling from 500 at that Veblen threshold. The US is seemingly on a track to recovery from financial mismanagement, let's say. I don't see the same happening in Europe and other places. They're all sort of in denial, but at least the Trump admin has sort of recognized the problem. That's why they're trying to stop the death spiral. That's why they've implemented the Department of Government Efficiency. This is why they're trying to lower the 10-year rates. They realize that the debt is unsustainable. Inflation is a symptom, and something has to be done. And they're trying these other things, but Bitcoin is the only solution that will fix these things. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it's a bit surprising the US was the next big one. I thought we'd have another big country, and that's kind of what we've been trying to accomplish at Jan 3. But what we've encountered is just everyone wants to wait for the US, and there's just a lot of fear of career risk. And with this shift in the US landscape, I think there is no more career risk. And that alleviation of the fear about doing something with Bitcoin, it just hasn't made its way around the world yet. Many Bitcoiners were expecting, we're going to get an Omega candle right now with the EO, but I think you need some massive change before that is going to happen, like retail coming in or normal people understanding Bitcoin, and or even just the action of buying either from the US or other countries, and that hasn't happened yet. The EO is just sort of news, and it's not well understood. And the impact is not well understood. Adoption of Bitcoin in the US is a direct threat. And it's not even about Bitcoin at this point. Like, the US is also looking to push stablecoins in a big way. And it looks like, Tether is going to be a part of that. So what does that mean for Europe? I think they should be far more concerned about stablecoins, because the barrier to understand a stablecoin is far lower than Bitcoin. So imagine you can go to any merchant with your self-custodial wallet, pay the merchant in a stablecoin, and that's fully outside of their control. Like, they can't really police that. Maybe they'll try. They'll go more draconian, more authoritarian, but it won't work. And the CBDC won't work either. So yeah, I'm just not sure what's happening in Europe now, but it doesn't look good for sure. Yeah, so the Omega candle is a 100K candle, and a God candle, or also called a Godzilla candle, is a 10K candle. Bitcoin price movements are becoming bigger and bigger, and people are not always aware of these movements. 100K is just 10x. Bitcoin has done 17x in the past, with a totally different macroeconomic landscape than today. Like zero Bitcoin national adoption, no strategic Bitcoin reserves, no talk about issuing Bitcoin bonds, and no talk about buying 1 million Bitcoin from the US. So it's completely within the realm of possibility that you get a 100K candle soon, maybe this year. So I think that the biggest thing is the Omega candle is saying be ready for this when it happens, because things are changing very, very rapidly.
Bitcoin is no longer a competitive asset. Institutional interest is increasing quickly since BlackRock entered the market, bringing in enormous sums of money that might push the price of Bitcoin considerably higher. Samson Mow believes that this marks a significant shift in the world of finance. The involvement of major organizations and even governments demonstrates how far Bitcoin has advanced since the beginning. According to Samson, Bitcoin is at the forefront of this financial transformation, and cryptocurrency is now undoubtedly headed toward being the best performing asset class globally. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications for future Bitcoin, macroeconomic, and digital asset content before we go any further. Now, let's get into his powerful predictions.
A Veblen effect is just taking that and extrapolating that concept and applying it to Bitcoin, whereby there is like a threshold at which Bitcoin crosses this, and now it is like the new gold. And I think we're already seeing an inkling of that with the executive order to create the SBR. But in terms of price, I would say that threshold is probably somewhere at, I don't know, maybe 500,000 per Bitcoin, maybe 400,000 Bitcoin. Somewhere there is where we start becoming the second largest asset class on the planet. And people can kind of directly compare gold at the top with, 20 trillion, and Bitcoin with half of that. And I think at that point you start to demonetize gold, because you have this new thing that is surpassing that 1,000-year monetary technology in 16, 17, 18 years. So that's when you start to shift and think, okay, I need exposure to this. I'm willing to dump my gold and buy some of this. And maybe gold is the only valuable thing a lot of people have left after the dollar starts to hyperinflate or devalue even more. Because you have to imagine at that threshold, like, what does the world look like when Bitcoin is $500,000? It's a very different world than today, right? It's not 80, 90, 100, 108. It's a very radically different world. And I think people miss that. Well, you are seeing the coins on exchange decline, right? And I think it'll just accelerate now with more corporate buys. And if there are nation state buys, like with Cynthia Lummis's bill, then that's just going to accelerate. And I don't think everyone fully understands the 21 million limit, right? Because we've grown up, when I say we, I mean everybody, we've grown up in a very fiat world where there's always wiggle room, right? With a fiat economy, you can always fix your mistake. Okay, like in Canada, maybe we spent too much on vaccines. Now we print some more money, and printing doesn't necessarily mean money on a printing press. There are so many ways to print money, right? Issuing debt or monetizing debt. But you can fix your mistake, right? We messed up. Well, we'll fix it. But with Bitcoin, there is no recourse. Just like you can't roll back the Bitcoin chain if there's a theft, right? You just can't print more. And that reality has not yet hit the general populace that, okay, there is only 21. And that number is dropping rapidly. They don't know. Like, there's just never been anything like this before. Like, maybe gold, but still, like 2% inflation a year. And it can increase if there is demand. So it's like a different beast still compared to Bitcoin. And it takes a lot of going down the rabbit hole to really understand that ultimate scarcity, that it's just like hitting a wall. No one will help you get more Bitcoin.
According to Samson Mow, there comes a point at which Bitcoin is perceived as a new kind of gold rather than merely a speculative asset. He thinks this happens somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 per Bitcoin. At that point, with a valuation of almost $20 trillion, gold is the greatest asset class in the world, and Bitcoin is the second largest. When the value of Bitcoin equals half that of gold, people will begin to compare the two directly. They will understand that in about 16 to 18 years, Bitcoin has surpassed gold as the most advanced monetary technology. Investors will be forced to reevaluate their holdings as a result, possibly selling some gold to purchase Bitcoin. He added that the world will be quite different from what it is now when Bitcoin hits $500,000. The entire financial landscape will be drastically altered by this, which goes beyond simply raising prices from $80,000 to $118,000. He anticipates that increased corporate and perhaps even government purchases will speed up the current decline in the quantity of Bitcoin available on exchanges. People still don't quite understand how scarce Bitcoin is, Samson emphasized. Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million coins, in contrast to fiat currencies, where governments can always create more money to correct their errors. If demand rises, more cannot be produced. Approximately between 3 and 5 million Bitcoins have been permanently lost throughout the years, he continued, which further lowers the supply to about 15 or 16 million. Massive purchases of Bitcoin by individuals like Michael Saylor are rapidly depleting the remaining supply. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.